Welcome back to another episode of Reading Between the Lines. Our guest today is Willie Loman from Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman.
Oh, well, hello there, Caroline. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Now tell me how your life has been in heaven after your dreadful accident.
It has been much easier, to be honest with you. I felt a lot more at peace with myself. There's a lot less stress, and all of the burdens I had on Earth are gone.
That's interesting. Now I hear you were a salesman before you passed. What was that like?
Well, it was a nice job for a while, as it made me some steady money. And I was pretty good at working the customers. It was nice to make a few friends while you're out on the road selling, as it did get a bit lonely. I was quite the salesman with everyone up in Boston, let me tell you. As I got older, though, the times seemed to really change. I remember I was trying to get a loan from an old friend of mine. I've known him since I was a young boy. Even named him Howard. When he told me that selling isn't the way it used to be, I simply didn't believe him. Though obviously, he had it all wrong, right?
Well, Willie, you see, sales jobs aren't necessarily focused on friendships anymore.
I know, and that's what's wrong with everything in this country. Everything used to be much simpler before we added in a whole bunch of hooey about wanting more. Whatever happened to simply befriending others to make a deal? Now it's all about the money. How much am I going to make? How much will they profit? So much harder.
What do you mean by that?
I just mean that sales is such a complicated job. Now, if it's difficult to be able to go off into the world and pass yourself off as a successful businessman when you can barely get enough money to make the last payment on your mortgage, come on, what's the point anymore? I work to make ends meet so my boys can lead successful lives, and my best one, Biff, turns out around and decides to leave me for farming? Then there's Happy. He's a piece of work. He tries, but he'll simply never be as good as my blue Biff.
Isn't that a little hypocritical, as you're being a bit materialistic yourself?
Well, no, not really, sort of. Why? Why do we do this? There's no point in the work we've put into this life. There just simply isn't, because it all results in us having no money, or not enough to support what we want. Take my refrigerator, for example. It runs perfectly well, but the machine keeps breaking down. I don't understand, considering we must have had it not too long. Just goes to show that good things don't last.
That's a bit of a sad note to end on.
Well, it's just how it's always going to work out. You're going to end up hitting the wall at some point in your life.
Wow, so that's going to wrap up our interview today. Thank you, Mr. Loman, for coming in to speak with us about your experience. It's truly fascinating to be speaking with a ghost like yourself.
Thank you very much for having me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reading Between the Lines, where we interview characters from famous American novels. I'm Rachel, and today we have Miss Mary Tyrone from A Long Day's Journey Into Night.
Oh, it's quite a pleasure to be here, dear.
We're so happy to have you. Now, the audience and I are wondering, what happens to you after the play ends?
Well, James helped me for a while as I was sent away to help deal with my little problem. I was quite devastated as my little boy, Edmund, was suffering from consumption. As for Jamie, he's unchanged along with Tyrone, and we still visit our summer home.
Oh, good. We were all concerned for you by the end, as we were not sure what would happen to you.
Yes, it was quite a dark time for me, dear, and I know that I shouldn't have let myself go that far, but I simply couldn't help it. I really had lost all control at that point.
Oh my, how is your husband coping after the incident?
He's all right. He's strong as always. He's always so kind and caring, but he's awfully cheap.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you might have noticed, but in the play, he really doesn't spend much more than the minimum on anything. He might have played the star of a successful play, but that never led him to go much further, as he never branched out after.
Sometimes it's best to be known for one really great thing versus a few mediocre things, right?
Yes, but it's not too helpful when you want to be able to make friends in town without having to be embarrassed of your home.
Your home? What about it is embarrassing?
Well, James bought it for dirt cheap as a place to stay during the summer, but he refused to spend any money to fix it up or make it look nicer. Really, this is our one and only home, as we lived from hotel to hotel as we traveled for James. It was nice for the first few shows, but after he continued touring and we had a few children, it got repetitive and boring, as I longed to be able to live in a single, nice home.
Does this make you regret anything you've done in your life?
Well,
go on.
Is there something wrong with my hair?
Oh, no.
Yes, it's not necessarily that I regret having my two lovely boys and my husband. They're wonderful, but with life I ended up living, I almost wish that I had stuck to the convent or played piano instead, because at least then it would give me an acceptable home to live in. Oh, it truly is so embarrassing that it's all come on television. All I really wanted was to be proud of my home. I've wanted to live the same lifestyle as all the other wives in the neighborhood, but I guess it was not meant to be.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Miss Tyrone. I'm glad that you're doing much better. It was a pleasure having you here on the show, Mary. Tune in next time on Reading Between the Lines.
Why, thank you, Rachel. Is my hair okay? Is it all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
welcome back to our show, Mr. Gatsby. Now I hear since the last time we've talked, you've experienced some drastic lifestyle changes.
Why, yes, I did, Rachel. After that fabulous party, my dearest Daisy and I had a blissful secret relationship. That is, until Tom had suspicions about it. That's where it all went downhill, old sport.
Oh, wow. Do you care to share more about that?
I'd rather not. It's been an awfully long and horrid time for me, but I've learned quite a lesson from it all.
And that lesson is?
Well, after I've worked myself from the ground up to get my wonderful Daisy to love me, I realized just how materialistic America is.
Oh, really?
Why, yes. I mean, I had absolutely nothing but a soldier's uniform on when I met Daisy, and she loved me. But all she was looking for was someone who had money and luxuries. Seeing as I did not have that, I worked my way to the top and created a new name for myself, J. Gatsby. It seemed as though the plan had a chance, but the sad truth is I was never truly happy. My happiness simply did not come from all the riches I owned, but instead relied on being with the woman I loved.
Wow, I guess I'd never really thought of it that way.
Of course you haven't, because you simply don't realize it. I mean, you yourself are working in the capitalist market, old sport. It's tragic, really, and it just makes me hate this country even more, as it has no substance besides money and objects of desire.
So you're implying that America has become about capitalism and materialism?
Yes, exactly. I don't expect many people to agree with me, as it seems I am living the American dream. But when you've seen both sides of the curtain, it's easier to see that the one thing that drives our country is buying what's always going to be bigger and better than what we have. Nothing will ever be good enough for anybody, no matter how lavish it is.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off, Mr. Gatsby, but we are sadly out of time. Thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate your insight on our country, as it is quite unlike what other characters have said before you.
Why, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Our next guest is May from Cat in a Hot Tin Roof, possible heir to Big Daddy's fortune. So tell us, May, how'd you find yourself in this position?
Well, thank you for having me tonight. Well, everyone knows me, Gooper, and our children are just the favorites in the family. What with Gooper being so hard-working and me producing all our wonderful children, we're really the best choice for Big Daddy's money. Because between you and me and these talk show viewers nationwide, Brick is an alcoholic with no motivation.
Well, someone still doesn't mind spilling the family secrets there. So, what is it you want with the family fortune?
Well, it's just all about money in this country, ain't it? I just want to spend my time in a big house with fancy furniture. Cooper can take care of the land responsibilities and make us even more money. Before you know it, we'll be the richest family this side of the Mississippi.
Great plan. And of course you'll have to hire workers. Keep the capitalist system running.
Well, of course. Ain't that just the American dream? My Gooper, head of a big, successful company, big house, fancy cars, more money than I can spend, more kids than I can keep track of. Seriously, Maggie, you let me know if you want one. You seem to be having a little trouble in that department.
Well, it certainly sounds like the American dream to me. Capitalism truly is the engine that drives Americans to success, just like you hope to do.
Well, me and Gooper always have been the successes of the family. Speaking of successes, did y'all ever get my message about the little successes performing after my interview?
And unfortunately, we're out of time. Tune in next week where we will be interviewing Huckleberry Finn himself.